The Biden administration's September 11th deal to release $6 billion to the Iranian regime faces renewed scrutiny this week following the brutal attacks on Israel from the terrorist group Hamas, which has long received funding and support from Iran. 20 Republican senators have called on President Biden to refreeze the cash transfer following the attacks, which killed a confirmed 14 Americans along with thousands of Israelis. But it's not just Iran that is funding Hamas in Gaza. The U.S. has been giving billions of dollars to the Palestinians. Joining me now by phone to discuss this and more, Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina. He serves on 4 Senate committees, including the Senate Judiciary Committee, where he's the ranking member, and the Senate Appropriations Committee. Senator Graham, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Well, thank you. I really want to echo what you said about praying for our friends in Israel. Now's the time.
Let me ask you this question. Are Iran's fingerprints on this attack on Israel?
Does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? It is impossible for this coordinated attack on Israel, land, sea, and air, very complicated, very sophisticated, in my view, to be planned and executed without Iran's knowledge. So the administration is willfully trying to avoid labeling Iran as part of this. I am 100% confident the Iranians were very much involved in this particular attack, and they've been involved in helping Hamas for over a generation. Let's just put it this way. You got to understand who the enemy is. When I say Russia, I think of a guy trying to recreate the Soviet Union-Russia empire. When I look at Rocket Man in North Korea, I think of a thug trying to stay alive. When I look at the Chinese, I think of a communist dictatorship trying to have influence throughout the world. When I look at the Ayatollah in Iran, I see a religious Nazi. He's different than everybody I've just described. The Shiism that he adheres to requires him to destroy the Jewish people in Israel, to purify Islam in the image of Shiism, not Sunnism, and to come after us. He's a religious Nazi. He is not going to stop till somebody makes him stop. This attack by Hamas could not have been possible without help from Iran. And Hamas, they're religious Nazis also. We have miscalculated for a generation now who Iran really is. Israel is in a box. They have to go in on the ground and destroy Hamas to their greatest capability. Iran is threatening to launch attacks from the north using Hezbollah as a proxy. I am calling on this administration to tell the Iranians if there's further escalation, if one hostage is killed, if another group attacks Israel, we will destroy your oil infrastructure and put you out of business. If we do not do that, this war gets bigger.
Senator, let's talk about this history of appeasement where we have this international community pressuring Israel to back off. We saw it, the first tweets out of the Biden administration was, oh, we got to be restrained in your response. Isn't that what brought us to this point of not taking them at their word and taking action?
They're not a normal. What does the Ayatollah want? I'm going to ask you. I'm interviewing you now. What is the agenda for the Ayatollah and his regime? What does he want?
Well, you just laid it out. He wants to destroy Israel. He wants to destroy America. He sees he is bringing in their eschatology the final conflict of the world.
Yeah, he's trying to spread Shiism throughout Islam and dominate Sunni, the Arabs. That's what he wants. What did Hitler want? Nobody believed he wanted to kill all the Jews, but he did.
Right.
He wanted a master race.
But they've told us they want to do that.
The Ayatollah wants a master religion. If you don't get that by now, you're making a huge mistake. So all those in the 30s who thought Hitler just wanted a little more territory that was German-speaking, they didn't read his book.
Right.
I listened to the Ayatollah speeches. I have been briefed by the CIA. I know what they want. They want to kill all the Jews. They want to destroy Islam as we know it, and they want to come after us. It is now time to bring them to heel.
I want to play a clip from the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, because this is what we're going to hear. This is what clip number 4.
This most recent violence does not come in a vacuum. The reality is that it grows out of a long-standing conflict with a 56-year-long occupation and no political end in sight. It's time to end this vicious circle of bloodshed, hatred, and polarization.
America needs to completely repudiate that type of message.
I'm going to do it right now on your show, and let me tell you why. Israel has made peace with Arab countries through the Abraham Accords.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is seeking a peace agreement with Saudi Arabia, the center of Sunni Islam. So there's plenty of evidence that Israel can make peace with Islamic nations who seek peace. What the Secretary General doesn't understand is that the motivation of Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Ayatollah is to destroy the Jewish state. So Israel is capable of making peace with its neighbors, but it would be asking Israel to make peace with Adolf Hitler. That's what we're talking about. The Ayatollah wants to kill all the Jews because of his religious doctrine. So that's what people don't get. I get it. You get it.
Right.
Don't ask Israel to try to accommodate a group of people who want to destroy them.
Senator, you brought up these conversations that are taking place between Saudi Arabia and Israel, building on the historic Abraham Accords.
Accords.
Where we are looking at Saudi Arabia and Israel normalizing relationships there. Do you think that might have been something that triggered Iran to send Hamas into Israel to disrupt that conversation?
Yeah, well, I'm trying not to cuss on your program because you're a very good guy and you have a lot of nice people listening. Yeah, 1,000%. I talked to the Saudi ambassador yesterday. I said, don't you think they're trying to stop the deal between Saudi and Israel, which would marginalize Iran? She said 1,000%. The Israelis believe 1,000%. If you don't believe Iran's behind this attack, you just don't want to believe it. The reason they did it now is that we're getting close to a deal to end the Arab-Israeli conflict that would isolate Iran even further, and they're trying to stop this peace deal. That's why they're doing it, and that's why I'm going to go over to Saudi Arabia and Israel and not let Iran get away with it.
Let me ask you this, Senator, about reports that weapons, material that was left behind in Afghanistan was found on the battlefield from Hamas, having access to that. Have you been able to verify any of that?
I don't know that, but I know this, that the head of the brigade command of Hamas publicly in a tweet thanked Iran for their weapons, their technology, and their assistance. If you got any doubt, just read the man's tweet. Again, Hitler wrote a book. People didn't want to believe it because they didn't want a World War II after World War I. They were in the appeasement mode. Anything but war. Well, Israel can't afford to make that mistake. The people that are attacked Israel, they want to kill the state of Israel. They don't want a land deal. They're not looking for borders that we can live peacefully with. They're not looking for coexistence. They're looking for destruction of the Jewish state. If you don't get that by now, you're missing a lot.
Right. So, Senator Graham, last question for you. What should be the next solid steps? I know the president today said that we stand with Israel. What do we need to do to show that is, in fact, the case?
Well, what the president didn't do is mention the word Iran. We need to put the Iranians on notice that the pillage and the murder and the destruction is coming to an end. You're responsible for killing 14 Americans. If one of these hostages is executed by Hamas, if there's an escalation against Israel in any way, we're going to you, Iran. We're going to put you out of the oil business. You won't have any money to sponsor terrorism. Number two, we need to be all in with giving Israel what they need if they have to attack Iran, but to go in on the ground and destroy Hamas, which will be one bloody fight, and never suggest they have to stop. We should give Israel the freedom of action and all the weapons they need to destroy Hamas. We should put Iran on notice. You're next if this gets bigger.
All right, Senator Lindsey Graham, I got to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us today. Always great to talk with you.